Welcome back to the channel. We're back on our Spider-Man Commander deck profile. For Wooburg, we get a 5/5 with Flying, First Strike, Trample, Lifelink, and Haste, and gives all your spiders the same thing. This is the perfect way to run all your spiders in the same deck. This is probably the last Spider-Man Commander deck profile I have planned for now. If there are more that I haven't covered that you guys would like to see, leave it down there in the comment section, but I figure this is the best way to exemplify just like all the Spider-Man Commanders in one deck while we're at it. We do have other spider synergies in here as well, other ways to benefit off of having access to 5 colors in this deck, but that's just a general overview of the deck. Let's get into it card by card. Starting off, we have Costume Closet. Artifact enters with 2+1/+1 counters on it. Move some counters from it onto other creatures you control. Whenever modified creature you control leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on this artifact. The spiders do have a few ways to give +1/+1 counters among them, and I do like seeing a whole bunch of modified creatures with a few of them, so this helps us do just that. Interdimensional Web Watch. Artifact enters, exile top 2 cards of your library until end of your turn. You may play those cards, potentially getting into our Spider-Man, but getting a 2 mana in any combination, cast spells from exile, helps us out with our Gwen Stacy abilities and some of our other abilities while we're at it. Peter Parker's camera enters with 3 film counters on it. Pay 2 to remove a film counter on it to copy one of your abilities. Super good ability, especially since we have a whole bunch of abilities that we like to see in this deck. Soul Ring doesn't help you cast your commander, but we have a bunch of creatures in this deck that we're trying to cast. Helps us do just that. And Sariyama. There are certain spider commanders that are better than other spider commanders, so being able to search our best ones out of deck will be super helpful for this one, and also being able to tap them in order to get that web slinging ability, in order to make sure that we could have a way to do that rather than just having them attack will be helpful for us as well. For our creatures, we have Aranya, Heartless Spider. She's a spider. Whenever you attack, put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature. Give us those modified creatures there for Costume Closet. And whatever modified creature you control deals comp damage to a player. Exile a top card of your library. May play those cards this turn. Another thing to benefit for Interdimensional Web Watch. Really works well with both those cards. Aunt May, whenever a creature you control enters, gain a life. We do have some life gain synergies in this deck, but if it's a spider, put a +1/+1 counter on it, giving us another modified creature there for Costume Closet, and also just even more strong things in order to benefit from Costume Spider's ability as much as possible. Oh, and also I just realized Costume Spider is only during your turn. I didn't realize that was the thing. Ugh, that's a little disappointing. Ezekiel Sims, Spider Totem. If you combat on your turn, target spider you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Allowing us another way to make sure that our creatures can deal some damage to our opponent. Spiders aren't necessarily like the strongest creatures, but giving them that +2/+2 on top of that trample and lifelink that they have, plus flying and first strike, are all good abilities out together. Ghost Spider, Gwen Stacy, Menace. Ghost Spider attacks, deals X damage to the defending player, where X is the number of attacking creatures. Our creatures have haste, so allows our creatures to attack super early. That Menace plus the first strike flying trample is going to be helping her deal a lot of damage as well. Gwen Stacy enters, exile top card of your library, helping out Interdimensional Web Watch there. Play that card for as long as you control this creature. Transform her into Ghost Spider. Flying Vigilance Haste. She has the Vigilance that which Cosmic Spider would give to your creatures. And whenever you play a land or cast a spell from exile, +1/+1 counter on Ghost Spider, giving that benefit for Costume Closet. Move 2 counters from her, exile top card of your library, play that card this turn. Another way of benefit for Interdimensional Web Watch. Gwenem, Remorseless. Giving her haste with Cosmic Spider's ability is really useful. Allows us to cast all of our stuff from the top of our library just by paying life rather than paying the mana we'd normally pay. Plus, having Death Touch plus Trample allows us to have fun interaction of dealing 1 damage to the creature, the rest to the opponent. Sure, it's only 3, but still. Especially with First Strike, too. Oof. Iron Spire Stark Upgrade. Remove 2 +1/+1 counters from among artifacts you control, draw a card. Or tap to put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact, creature, or vehicle you control. Not going to be most useful, mostly just here because he's a spider, but we can tap him the turn he comes down, thanks to having haste with Cosmic Spider-Man, and that vigilance is helpful in terms of having something to protect us as well. Miles Morales enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Once again, this as modified creatures. And then transform him, first strike, haste. You can also cast him for this side, apparently, same thing with Ghost Spider. Put a +1/+1 counter on Ultimate Spider, gains hexproof and becomes colorless till end of turn. Give him that invisibility ability. Whenever you attack, double the number of each kind of counter on each spider or legendary creature you control. Almost all of our creatures are legendary, so it helps us do just that, allowing us to, get even more powerful modified creatures. This way that trample really comes in handy. Peter Parker enters, create 2/1 green spider. We're not really going for that side, we're going for the flip side. Each legendary creature you control that's one or more colors gets web sling for green, white, and blue. Really not having vigilance on our creatures is going to be helpful for us. So we just web sling them back to the hand, recast something else that may be a little more useful, and just that vigilance and reach will help him out in terms of protecting against our opponent's stuff. Where are we? Radioactive Spider, Reach, Death Touch plus First Strike, super helpful combo. Also just reaching Death Touch are super helpful in terms of blocking flyers. 2, sacrifice this creature, search your library for a Spider Hero card, reveal it, put in your hand, shuffle. It's Gwenum. Nope. Oh yeah, she's a Spider Hero. Look at that. So, searching out Gwenum, allowing her to attack, allowing you to keep on going with your plays. Sensational Spider-Man attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. Once again, due to the turn he comes down, thanks to the haste that Cosmic Spider enables. Move up to re-stun counters on all permanents, draw cards equal to the number of counters removed. It's just good draw power, especially because he helps him get his own ability off. Skyward Spider, Ward 2, this creature is flying as long as it's modified. Split some +1/+1 counters on it, make it modified. Glad to see it. Spider, SPDR, piloted by Penny, Vigilance, enters with +1/+1 counter on target creature. We like to see his +1/+1 counter synergies, because whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. We're having all of this trample with all of our creatures, thanks to Cosmic Spider-Man. Who is Cosmic? It is Peter. Okay, so I feel like it's Peter for some reason. That's right. But yeah, that draw power is going to be helpful, especially with flying, first strike, trample. I can see all those things. Spectacular Spider-Man, Flash, pay 1, give him flying, but we don't need to do that. But I mean, does allow him to block. Pay 1, sacrifice him, target creature control against hexproof and indestructible. Allow us to protect Cosmic Spider-Man so we don't have to recast him. Spider-Bot, just a little bit of ramp, putting it on top of our deck, especially if we have Gwenum on the board. Could help us out to reshuffle our deck. Spider-Bite, Web Warden, enters, return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Good source of removal, plus just being a spider. Spider-Gwen, Free Spirit, becomes tapped, discard a card. If you do, draw a card. A little bit of draw power. Once again, she has haste, thanks to Cosmic Spider-Man. Spider-Ham, Peter Porker, giving a +1/+1 to all of our spiders. Really helpful ability there. You also get a food token because he has a hot dog. Spider Islanders, just another spider. And we do have some discards, so you could potentially cast him for his Mayhem ability as well. Spider-Man 2099. Probably one of my favorite Spider-Man in this set. Double Strike, Vigilance, at the beginning of your end step. If you played a land or cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, aka all those cards are casting from exile with some other cards that we've had. Deal damage equal to his power to any target. Put those +1/+1 counters on him. Cast your cards from exile. We like to see both those things. Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara. Oh, we're using his full name. Enters, return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. Once again, good source of removal. And whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. We have trample, we have flying. We'll be able to do that. Spider-Man India, whenever you cast a creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Gains flying till end of turn. Potentially, if we have a way to cast something with Flash, we could give our stuff flying during our turn. But mostly, just using it to get more modified creatures, more powerful creatures. Spider-Man Noir, whenever a creature you control attacks alone, which isn't going to happen too often. Put +1/+1 counter on it, Frail X, where X is the number of counters on it. We allow ways to put counters on things, so it helps us out. Spider-Man Brooklyn Visionary, web slinging for 3. When he enters, ramp. You could also potentially get this web slinging ability a whole bunch. Like I said, our creatures don't have vigilance. Only thing is, with getting those +1/+1 counters on them and going for that web slinging synergies, it is a little bit difficult. Spider-Man Miles Morales, Vigilance, Trample, enters their attacks with a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures also gain Trample. This way, in case we don't have a Cosmic Spider-Man on the board, we can still get that damage on the board. Spider-Man Peter Parker, whenever you gain life with a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, gains indestructible, flying. Our creatures all have lifelink, so we'll be able to do just that, giving all of our creatures indestructible, especially since they have first strike. Because they'll gain a life, you'll deal damage, gain a life, then your opponent will deal their damage, and all your sets are already indestructible. Spider-Man, Web Slinger, just one mana Jory essentially, because that Web Slinger ability. Spider-Punk, in order to give your Spiders Riot, where you have them get those +1/+1 counters or haste, both really good abilities for a stack. Spider-Rex, Daring Dino, Reach, Trample, Flying, First Strike, all those good things we have to see with the stack to make sure we're dealing with damage. Spider UK, at the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more creatures enter the battlefield under your control this turn, draw a card, gain 2 life. Another way to get some life gain, a little bit draw power while we're at it. Spider-Man, Hero Chord, Web Slinging for 6, which we're going to not tend to pay. Enters if they were cast using your Web Slinging ability, gain 3 life, get 2 spiders with 2/1 and reach. I mean, the reach would be useful sometimes. Spinneret and Spiderling, whenever you attack with 2 or more spiders, which we have quite a bit of spiders, put a +1/+1 counter on this card. And whenever this deals 4 more damage, exile the top card of your library until end of your next turn. You may play that card this turn. Or we get stuff to cast from exile for those synergies that we got with that. Symbiote Spider-Man, or get stuff out of from the top of your deck, essentially, like mill it, get one of them. Twisted Spider Clone enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. We're putting +1/+1 counters all around, so hopefully we'll be able to get that on a whole bunch of creatures. And Web Warriors, whenever this creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So play this, then play this. And, you know, that's a lot of synergy. I see it. Enchantments with Annie joins up. In order to double up some of our abilities, we have a lot of abilities with this deck that we'd like to see doubled, so may as well do just that. Imposter Syndrome. In order to exemplify the Spider-Man meme, also our creatures are going to be dealing damage a whole bunch, and tokens aren't legendary, so let's see it. Origin of Spider-Man, or make sure everything's a spider. Get an extra spider, target creature control gains double strike, so potentially that commander damage for Cosmic Spider-Man. Rentizu, in order to have another way to tap our creatures to get some draw power off that as well. For 6 value for some draw power, Smothering Tide for some extra mana. Clone Saga, Surveil Druid. Oh, we don't have Ben Riley in this deck, actually, I just realized. Whenever you next cast a creature spell this turn, copy except it's isn't legendary. So, once again, we have a whole bunch of creatures that we're trying to get on for basically free, so let's see it. And the Web of Life of Destiny, basically getting out for that 2 mana at the beginning of combat on your turn. The top 5 cards of the library. Put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield, rest on the bottom. Getting our spiders out on the battlefield for basically free. I mean, it's still 8 mana to cast it. Well, like I said, we could probably cast it for 2 without convoke cost. And then web slinger our stuff. For instance, we have Double Trouble, double target power, double the power of each creature you control until end of turn. If we have a whole bunch of spiders swing in and our opponents don't have a whole bunch of things to block it, that's potentially a game. Generous gift for some removal. Grow extra arms for some extra stats to benefit off that trample. Heroic Intervention for some protection. Pad to Exile for some removal. Sword Splashes for some removal. Teferi's Protection for some protection. Whip for some extra stats. And Worldly Tutor for some search power. Oh, wait, why is Shalab over here? Sorry, I just realized that we keep on scrolling. Because Shalaba was 9 creatures for some reason. I don't think really any special lands. Cultivate for some ramp, Farseed for some ramp, Nature's Lord for some ramp, Urza's Ruinous Blast, in order to exile all of our opponent's creatures, none of ours, because I'm pretty sure almost all of our creatures are legendary. And then Shalab, Child of Undulate, other spiders you control have Death Touch War 2, giving them that first strike plus ample plus Death Touch. It's a really cool combo in order to make sure that we're winning the game. But that's the deck there. If you guys liked the video, make sure you like the video. Cosmic Spider-Man's overall a pretty good commander, I'd say. Not like a great commander, but a pretty good one. But thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of the day.